Subscription services suck. Streaming services are the future of media. This is something I saw back in my more primitive years, and it still holds true today. The content you want to see at the touch of a button, how you want to see it, is the industry standard for home entertainment. It makes sense that this model would eventually spread to one of my favorite forms of media, anime. As a child of 6 with only one cable box in the living room, I had pretty restricted access to the sweet Japanese nectar that I craved at the time. Seeing shows like Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Inuyasha really opened me up to the doorway beyond. Fast forward a good 20-ish years or so, and here we are, at the worst time for anime streaming services. It was not always this way though. For many years, I've been subscribed paying my hard-earned money to Crunchyroll, Funimation, and HIDIVE respectively. I am no longer subscribed to any of those services, and I want to give you a few reasons why, as well as a few examples of things I am personally seeing in the industry today. It's not all negative though, because I'm going to be giving some tips on how these companies can improve and once again start getting my digital dollars. Let me take you back to a time when cell phones couldn't play video, the internet sucked, and you had to wait 20 minutes for 7 minutes of a Naruto episode to load so you can watch that while you load the next 7 minutes of the same episode. Yeah, it was like that. Eventually, I delved beyond Naruto and what was available to me with the power of anime sharing websites. Beyond Pokemon and Dragon Ball, there was also almost no anime merchandise around, whereas today there are Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia apparel all over your local Walmart. As the internet evolved and speeds became bearable, streaming services started to form until we get the congested, confusing media market of today. At one point in time, I had access to all 3 of the major anime streaming platforms, and it was great. Kind of. Devices and app support were limited, so it made actually using those apps kind of difficult. Which brings me to my first point in this video, the UI. First off, I'm gonna praise the team at Funimation, because their UI was always simple and fluid, no matter if I was on console or mobile app. A+, guys, pat your software development teams on the back. The UI for Crunchyroll has always been iffy for me, but usable. Not as clean or as organized as Funimation, but hey, it beat out the other guys' app support. At least I could still boot up an app on my PlayStation and go through the clunky UI to get to my anime goodness. Lately though, wow. Have you guys seen the PS5 app? Like, actually looked at this app? And don't even get me started on the Nintendo Switch. These things hurt my eyes. Aside from popularity and obviously sales-driven playlists getting pushed at you right on the homepage, when you finally search out what you want to see, the service pops up so many languages. Kudos for accessibility, by the way. And if your anime has a really long title, like many so often do, you have to wait for the text to scroll through just to see what language the show is in, and likely continue down the line till you find your native language. What happened to that touch of a button magic that streaming services were? Could we not set a region or language preference and use that instead of navigating the globe every time I want to watch a show? It was a little better on my phone on that front, but still pretty convoluted, and I'm already not the biggest fan of watching anime on a small screen if I don't have to. After recent licensing wars and seeing how crazy popular and marketable anime has become, it was only a matter of time before anime services became more frustrating than they already were. It is also a factor that we are getting censored versions of certain anime content, and we are paying for that censorship. Think about it. We pay to support a company telling us what we can and cannot hear. Granted, there's localization things aside for that, and lots of reasons why certain voice lines get changed or certain things get cut. We'll come back to the censorship thing in a minute, because that's a very serious issue that kinda needs to be addressed. So before this becomes a straight negative video, here's some ideas that could go a long way in convincing anyone who feels like I do to continue using and paying for these services. We covered device support first, and while most major companies are ahead of the game and have apps on all sorts of devices, I could certainly name a service or two that could use some device love. Next, we can cover how those apps actually run. In most cases, I've found they don't run so great, as we've covered before. That aside, I would personally not be opposed to all the ad-like pushing of certain playlists and different series in my face all the time. Yeah, everybody likes that show, but like, can I watch what I came here for now? Alright, now we're into the censorship topic, and call me crazy if you want to. Could this simply not be done? What exactly is the big deal with still censoring this stuff in this day and age? You guys tell me, because I am obviously missing something. As an artist in a variety of forms, I simply can't stand censorship. This is not to say that some things should be censored for public broadcast. Censoring a scene in any form that is viewable in private media that we pay for should not happen. Some content is not suitable for all audiences and should be hidden behind an age restriction setting. But is it too much to ask that the companies involved with censoring this media through distribution of their platforms not simply add an uncensored version that a consumer can access? Whether it be a parental lock code or a setting that you can tick, there really is no reason for this. You see more and more of actual censorship every day. One of my favorite franchises, for example, were hit with it for literally no reason, and I would be more than happy to talk about that in another video. But where does it end? Stop censoring the creator's art. How far are we going to let it go before the art is just not representative of its artist anymore? Go ahead and censor the radio, censor television, but don't censor private streaming services. There's localization and script changes and stuff like that out there that it makes sense to do, but to somebody who is paying for this content, consenting that they want to see the content that they paid for, why is it still that we are cutting scenes out of anime, literally trimming those videos, we're straight up changing words in the script that do not honestly deserve to be changed? If you want to make a version of the show where people aren't going to get offended by this or that or whatever we're actually going through here, go ahead and make that version. But don't make it the only version you're publishing. It's not even always the streaming service, as sometimes Japan even chooses which version they want to send to the US. It's gotten to the point where it's so confusing for even Western or Eastern audiences alike to even know what's going on. It pushes people towards pirate sites where they can watch the show in its unedited and uncensored format. Factor in that there's this huge shame factor, and there always has been, to people who view anime illicitly through other means. Maybe the pirates had the right idea all along. Piracy built anime. The world of anime piracy is a fascinating one. From the fans who would copy over tapes to trade at the seldom seen anime conventions, to the anime clubs that help raise interest in the media, there's a rich history here. Maybe I'll explore this topic again in the future, but anime was around for us long before everything got so corporate. From those clubs that shared their tapes with the public, to the forums and online communities we found, to the conventions we attend to meet other like-minded people and find even more awesome anime to watch and share, it just seems like a lot of that is dissipating. I'm gonna stop being a weeaboo boomer for a bit and just end my video with this. At the end of the day, you matter. The anime you want to watch, the way you want to watch it, should be of no concern to others. Everyone loves having their own opinion until you have one of your own, I guess. I don't know if I covered exactly every point I want to make, but I'm glad to go into further detail. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. If you watched the video this far, you either loved it or hated it. Either way, I hope that you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. Feel free to leave a comment or a like or a push to the algorithm, and hey, if you really like me, share it. Show other like-minded people that they're not alone in these thoughts. The world might push you down and try to keep you from doing what you want to do, but as long as you're not hurting anybody, what really is it at the end of the day? Look forward to the next one, and I'll see you soon.